Okay, so this episode is a bit overdue. This is now the Saturday we are shooting it. Of course, the Thursday it should have been released, but hey, what do you call it when life happens? Call it life. Is now the explanation for it. You know, unfortunately, we are in a state of interesting times. We both do our studies and we both are busy with other things, and sometimes some things get priority, and then you sort of just have to make some way and adapt a few things, you know. Time is limited.
Very limited.
You are also in quite of a rush now. You need to go work, do some stuff. So, yeah, even though this is a bit overdue, it is still happening. Welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of On the Overrun. Lekker. You are seeing Nico Erasmus in his full force once again with a good voice, right?
Yeah, my voice is now fixed, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see at the end of the episode.
No raspy, creaky, screechy, like 50s vinyl plate sound anymore.
In the background.
Yeah, but listen, he did sound well actually in the previous one. I mean, even though with a bit, husky voice, it still added a bit of character.
Definitely.
So just quickly on the first episode, how was it shooting? How was it being on the podcast?
Enjoyable, yeah, definitely. Not my first podcast.
Of course not.
Of course not. We cannot forget the polymers elasticity podcast.
Yeah. Maybe brief them shortly.
Yeah. So I had a task in my second year where you had to make a summary, and I decided my summary is going to be a podcast about the work. And so then I created like a 5-minute podcast, and then my roommate, who is a DJ Turbo. He decided to make a remix of it. So yeah, that's how the polymer elasticity song became.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you actually started your podcast career way before this was even a thing.
Yeah, with my phone.
Yeah.
reading off a text.
These days phone recordings are not too shabby.
Yeah, true that.
So, okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But you ready for the second one?
Yes.
Ready to get into it?
Stuck into it.
Yeah. So we had some interesting conversation last week. A lot of people, of course, chatting about our dream garage or your friend's dream garage for you. Yeah. Some people added some things on Instagram and so on. So there's quite a few engagements regarding that topic, which was cool. Nice to see some interaction. And this week we also have quite an interesting topic coming up later. The best non-mom cars.
Yeah,
and I think you can already think of a few interesting mom cars that shouldn't be mom cars, but is mom cars, but anyone would drive it.
Just think of something you see in Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
Just like
anything really.
Why?
So sometimes you ask the question, do you need it? No. But as you spoke now on the way here, your car fanatic, we don't really care about the sensible. I like sensible, but you don't really care about the sensible. You like the
weird,
the stupid, the obnoxious, the doesn't make sense and costs a lot of money, but wow, it's cool and I like the color kind of cars, And I think when you have the wild mom cars, of course for them it's only like about comfort and space and maybe a bit of speed.
They don't care that much about the
and if you can afford it, so be it. So no going against it. I don't complain seeing one of those cars on the road too, but that's coming up a bit later. We're going to chat about the GR86 versus the BRZ. Of course the GR86 being the successor to the GT86, the one we roasted a bit last week. And now we're actually going to chat some good about it. We're going to chat about the successor to the Hummer, which is in a totally... Oh, bless you. This is in a totally different format. And then we'll kick it off actually with a bit of motorsport. So unfortunately, not a lot happening in F1 now because...
3-week break.
3-week break.
No.
It's taking some time. So... But just quickly brief us on what's happening with replacement drivers and stuff.
Yeah, so as most of you would have seen, Nico Hulkenberg is now part of the Aston Martin team. So that's official. He's the reserve driver for Aston Martin.
So glad he's
back. And also there's a list being released to see all the reserve drivers of F1. Like Mercedes having, I think,
like
4 of them.
Yeah.
And no, Danny Kvyat's Alpine's one. Alex Albon is both for Red Bull and AlphaTauri while he's busy driving in DTM. And Callum Allett and Giovinazzi are Ferraris. Fittipaldi is still Haas's. Quebeca is still Alphas. Jack Aitken is still Williams. And then let me just think. Who's McLaren? I think Nico Hulkenberg is also for McLaren. I saw Nico.
So you're actually allowed to have.
Yeah, I think it's like you're like a freelance journalist basically. If you're like a reserve driver,
they need you there.
Yeah, they need you there.
Well, Hulkenberg was used quite a lot last year.
Yeah,
at Racing Point. Yeah. And he did quite well. Everyone was quite happy to see him doing quite well.
Yeah, and there was also like before Checo got the seat, everybody thought maybe Nico to Red Bull. So,
and I remember like Nicholas Latifi, he was Williams' replacement driver in 2019. And before he even got the seat, he basically only did like 1 or 2 first practice sessions for Williams, basically just to get the idea of the car and how it is. Then of course replacing Kubica. As the main driver alongside Russell. So replacement drivers, I mean, it could just be a name for someone like, you are the replacement driver, but it doesn't mean a lot at the end of the day. I think in Mercedes' terms, if you have 4, like where do you basically go on drives of like a GTR with, I don't know, fans or whatever, before the race, or you do press conferences, or you do all basically the dirty work.
Yeah, but it's like last year with Bahrain, where they didn't even use one of the reserve drivers to replace Hamilton. They went and picked up George Russell. Yeah. So, and then I remember, like, I think it was Stoffel van Doorn or somebody that wasn't really quite happy with that, since they're the actual reserve driver, and then they went and like picked up the golden boy.
So no, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't mean a lot. Esteban Ocon, he was before he got the Renault seat last year, he was
Mercedes.
He was Mercedes driver, and I can't remember him doing a race. Maybe he did like 1 or 2 practice sessions, or maybe he did a race. I'm not sure, but
no, he didn't race.
Majority of the time,
he was like at all the tracks and so on, and he did like a few practice stuff. But
you probably still get paid being a replacement driver.
Yeah, I think so. Just not that much.
Of course, because you don't do a lot.
Of course, but that's in the motorsport industry not happening much currently. Extreme E started.
Yes.
First race.
Interesting.
I think interesting is like a very basic word to use.
Maybe it just maybe it gives them the benefit of the doubt, saying that it's interesting. But it was weird. Like we watched of course, I don't know a lot about Extreme E. I just know there was big names. Sebastian Loeb,
we don't
Sainz,
know a lot about it.
And Nico Rosberg, Hamilton's got a team, Rosberg's got a team. So a lot of big names being thrown around. I read on the Top Gear article that it's basically sort of trying to be like an offspring from Formula E, going into like all-terrain kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's all about like sustainability, electrified, climate change awareness, social justice awareness. I'm not even sure what they're trying to accomplish, like in the greater scheme of things. But initially I thought I saw the cars and I saw the tracks they're going to drive, and I'm like, okay, probably like a Dakar-ish, maybe a bit shorter,
maybe rally,
like a long, like a 24-hour or like a 12-hour day. You just go along, do the route. Maybe it's like a few days in a row. So we watched the qualifying. Well, actually not the qualifying. There was like qualifying, semis, whatever. We watched the final or the semi-final and final. Basically, the final race day highlights. And it was not what we expected at all. What were your thoughts? Yeah. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I was quite disappointed at first glance, to be honest. Like, as you said, you come with the expectation of maybe being something for like more a distance rally, like Dakar or something like 12 hour. I don't think a 24 hour would work that good. 12 hour. Maybe like
because it's electric cars,
maybe 6 hour, even just a 6 hour.
Yeah, but range is limited.
Yeah. So I thought something like that, and then you see like 3 cars starting line taking away. There's not a real track. Everybody just driving everywhere. Visibility doesn't look that great. People crashing into one another. Everywhere. It looked like a demolition derby at the one point where they crashed into one another.
We saw this one crash. Maybe it was Sainz, maybe it wasn't. But it was 2 people. I don't think it was Sainz.
No,
it was someone else.
No.
He was driving basically in the sand behind someone else. But going over this ridge, he was sort of in a jump, couldn't see anything, like point blank, because of all the sand, and then solidly crashed into the person in front. I think it was 2 female drivers actually at that point.
Oh, yeah,
who did the
yeah.
crash. But anyway, solidly crashed into the person in front. There was this one semi-final where it was like Rosberg's team, Hamilton's team, of which Sebastian Loeb was driving, and then someone else. And the 3 of them were like very close driving, going around the corners and stuff. So, well, just to explain shortly, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the format is basically you do your qualifying, and then there's like, it's like a knockout round. So you do 3 cars in a race of a lap.
I think there's only 6 teams.
Only 6 teams.
I think there's only 6 teams.
Yes.
I don't know how many teams.
So there's only 6 teams. You have to have a female and a male driver on the field.
Yeah.
Then you basically drive 3 next to each other. You do 1 lap, which is 5.5 kilometers on the sand desert road, and then you basically qualify for your semis, finals, and such. And then there's a winner at the end of the day. So very simple format. And of course, they do quite a few races then throughout the year. Next one being in Senegal in May month. And I also commented, like, when last have you ever seen someone doing a race or any sporting event for that matter in Senegal? Like, worldly renowned. Interesting. But just to touch a bit on the controversy side regarding Extreme E.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember who won, but I don't actually care.
Rosberg Racing won.
Rosberg Racing.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember it was the female driver in the final.
Yeah, she was the driving,
Yeah.
But just to, like, it's Hamilton, Rosberg.
Yeah, again, they have this family feud coming up. Because in 2016 when they drove, it was 2015 or 16 when they drove together. No, actually, it was more than that.
2016, Rosberg won.
Yeah.
It was a few seasons before that as well.
But there was just this feud between them, like constant conflict. I think it was just a clashing of egos, conflict of interest.
Yeah, they were friends turning enemies.
And Hamilton, he was at that point comparing to Rosberg, the younger driver, the up-and-coming one.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he was probably the better driver at some point. Rosberg won World Championship, and that's great. But Hamilton was still going to be the better driver, and guess what? Like, today he is.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of stats and, World Champs and everything, like, Rosberg has nothing on him.
True.
But anyway, to touch a bit on the controversy side, so, as I mentioned, wow, Nico, I'm getting your voice now. Anyway, so the controversy side is that, of course, Formula E and Extreme E, it's focused on sustainability. So no carbon footprint, of course, it's electric cars, so no fuel and everything. And it's all about a different way of thinking in terms of motorsport and how can you make it sustainable, not just in terms of, carbon dioxide emissions, but also more things around it, like just in terms of keeping the earth sustainable, I guess.
Yeah.
But I assume you get the gist of it. In any case, so of course the cars are electric and everything, no petrol and so on. But there's a lot more ethical issues around for Extreme E that actually is the problem. Like they're all about sustainability, but just think about the logistics. Okay, the cars have to travel somewhere. The cars or the vehicles used to for in terms of logistics, like carrying tents or food or the drivers around or anything, they maybe use fuel. Setting up everything maybe also uses like energy, electricity, fuel, whatever. There was just massive like Royal Mail, I think, like ship basically promoting Extreme E with like Extreme E badges and stuff. And that thing, of course, is like 2 57-liter turbo diesel engines, which is not economically, environmentally friendly at all. So there's a lot of ethical issues too. For instance, in Saudi Arabia, it's known for like executing people, which is also, not necessarily something you want to support. But then Extreme E decides to, go there for the first one. So we can chat on and on about what they did wrong and everything. But point being, it's motorsport, which is great, but it just wasn't that exciting.
Yeah, lacking some excitement. But I think, don't be too fast to like
to criticize.
Maybe it gets better. Maybe if you get some support.
Hopefully it does.
I think a field of 6 teams is just a little bit small for actual competitiveness.
Yeah.
I think if it can grow maybe like to 10 teams, that would help quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's early days. It's like a first race. There is still a few kinks, as you said, that needs to be sorted out. But we'll see. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll be able to know, like, okay, cool, it wasn't working, or it can grow to even bigger things. So,
but no, you're right. Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't be too quick to criticize. This is only the first race.
Yeah.
And I suspect the formula and the drivers and the teams, as you said, maybe will increase and change. The format of racing.
Yeah.
That will probably also change. Maybe change it a bit to a longer sort of race, more laps, or just a different type of competition, maybe like time trials, like they do in like Tour de France kind of thing. So, I mean, endless options, but I do understand, maybe, I wouldn't say there's a need for it. Like, there isn't really a need for motorsport, but there is, but there isn't. Like, it's not so important. But anyway, it's awesome that there is something like Extreme E, and there probably is going to be a market for it going later on with all cars basically becoming electric, because that's just the tendency in the car market at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of brands, of course, saying 2030 is the cutoff, become electric.
Yeah.
That also due to regulation. So we have to see. I mean, how things change. Electric racing, electric motorsport isn't as exciting at the moment.
No, not at all.
But I mean, that will probably just change over time. But I mean, hopefully Formula One never dies.
Yeah, hopefully. There's just something with the sound. Like, I think you also heard it at the start, where it's just like that buzzing noise with the electric engines as they take off. And I was like, what?
Do you know someone who, of course, I think it was in the 90s, 95, there was a Formula One race at Kyalami.
Yeah.
Or was it Eastern Cape somewhere? I think it was Kyalami. There was a Formula One race in South Africa. And I spoke to one person who was there. Actually, maybe more than that. But all they could remember is coming there. Extremely loud cars rustling away. Just people buzzing, chatting, like being excited. There was just this vibe around and this energy around the whole event. And I think that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 5 senses. The more senses you use, necessarily the more engaging, the more exciting.
Yeah, the greater experience.
The more memorable.
Yeah.
So, with Formula E, there is still a sound, compartment to it, but it's like this whizzing, weird kind of. No one wants to hear it sound.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest problem.
Taking that away, takes away a lot from the experience, because you as the visitor, or basically the guy watching from the stands, you're not driving the car, so you're not that engaged. You basically only just look, but if you can't hear them, you can only see them when they go past you. Even on TV, it's I don't know.
It's weird. I think if you're in the stands, the problem is you don't hear the car on the other side of the track if it's an electric car.
Yeah.
That's the problem, where it's all other types of racing, F1 or just touring or whatever. You can sit here and still hear the car taking the corner, the other side shifting down, shifting up. I think with EVs, it's just like but I say that's also like, last night I spoke to a friend of mine's dad, and he's also like, if you think about it, this is a small concept. With speakers, you had stereo sound that's around you, so you use more than just your one sense of sound, but your surroundings as well, to like encapsulate the atmosphere of the sound. But with a speaker just like standing there, you only get the one view. And I think that's the same with racing and with EVs. You only get that like one view. You don't get the full experience, the smell. Smell is also a big factor.
Fuel
burnings, tires, sound, visually seeing, feeling the heat from the engine, things like that. That's your senses. So we'll see. Maybe EVs strive, maybe not.
I mean, with the sound compartment too, like talking about stereo speakers and stuff, Harman Kardon is actually a massive role player in Formula E and like electric cars in general. I mean, for some time, the idea has been going around of bringing sound into cars, into electric cars. And in the road electric cars, like the Taycan stuff, like there is some sort of, electrified sound, like something made up. And that could be quite cool. But, what if you in some way can mimic the sound of like some kind of old Jag V8 into electric car, but still make it sort of realistic that people enjoy. But at the moment for us, just hearing that idea is like, yeah, but it's just not, it's not.
It's just not that thing there.
Yeah.
Not that physical piece of metal.
But hey,
of explosions.
In some way, shape or form, there will be innovation, and hopefully that will lead to just more exciting motorsport. At the end of the day,
definitely. I just think just a quick last note on Extreme E. I think it's very exciting in the sense of showing that electric vehicles can also do off-roading.
Yeah,
I think that's been the tendency like these days is it's only road-going vehicles that are electric, but you can actually go off-roading. That's the same with electric off-road motorcycles. You can actually do that. It has a lot of torque, so it can do the things off-road as well. It's just not just for the tarmac.
No, there's capability.
I think that's the big thing of the market expanding.
Yeah,
is that so? Same with the. We're not going to tell them about the Hummer now. The Hummer EV.
Oh, the Hummer EV.
Also off-roading.
The Hummer. Okay, let's touch on the Hummer EV.
Yeah.
So, GMC, which is an American company, is actually releasing. Still not sure if it's like concept or if it's going to be a thing, but it sounds like it's going to be a thing. It's going to be releasing the next Hummer, the next iteration of the Hummer, the old, basically ancient military vehicle who, by the works of Arnold Schwarzenegger, became a road-going car.
Yeah.
So you get the Hummer 1, which is
the
super
H1,
military.
H1 super military.
Like,
just look like they came off the desert now going on the road.
H2 is like super military, but also super cool to see it on the road. Like, but also not like it's not a car. You can't call it a car.
No.
Like it's it's a small compact truck with 5 seats. And then the H3, that was by far the most hated Hummer.
That's the most hated Hummer.
Because
especially the yellow one.
The H3 is so pretentious. It is
all the plastic bits
and the extras and the look and the fake chrome grille.
Yeah.
It just reminds you of like, Barbie car or like some kind of cabriolet that, a girl drives to school with her friends, like that you see on the movies,
Yeah.
It's that kind of, it's all about the look, not really substance. There's no real substance behind it. It's all just this image. Like that's all it is.
That's all it is. And like, I think it's like the fuel consumption was even worse than the H2 and the
And
H1.
the engines, weren't they like 6.5 V8 diesels, something like.
They're crazy.
Yeah. And of course they weren't quick at all. They weigh over 3 tons, far and away over 3 tons.
There was no practicality in it.
No practicality.
Yes.
Well, actually, we can't say no practicality.
Well, that's what's spacious.
There's so much space. Have you ever been inside a H1 or H2?
No.
So, friends of mine who I recently shot a podcast with, Samantha, they have a H1 and a H2. The space between you, like the front seat and the passenger seat, is basically like we're sitting here. Like the central tunnel is massive with not a lot. Like it's basically this storage space and stuff. Not a lot of buttons. Like it's not technologically advanced because it's not meant to be. But no, there's so much space. But what they also did quite well is they had like a very big roof tent installed on top.
Oh.
So they actually go camping. They can do the roof tent, tow a caravan that tows something else. But like on a road, of course, he has a lot of road presence.
Yeah.
But it's not nice to drive it on a road. I don't think it's particularly comfortable. And it's way too big. Like, in Stellenbosch, don't even try and drive that thing in town. Like it's
No, these
it's
streets are too narrow.
and also we have this massive gutters next to the street where your car's basically going to, write itself off if it falls into one of those.
I saw a Polo the other day going into the gutters.
It's so stressful when you see someone parallel park into one of those gutters and you just see that rear wheel almost slipping, almost going. So, yeah, not very good. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not a massive fan of the Hummer. Like, it's cool, but it's not something that, as they would say, tickles your fancy.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But I think this new concept or actual thing coming, whatever it's called, is going to be quite something cool.
It's EV, as we now also
EV,
said.
Obviously.
Which is, I mean, fine. Like, that car reminded me a lot of the new Rivian coming out. Do you remember that electric truck?
Yeah.
And also it looks a lot like the Bronco.
It does, the new Bronco coming out.
The Bronco. I read an article recently about the first Bronco selling on auction for something ridiculous, like a few million.
The Jackson Barrett one?
I can't remember.
I think it was a Jackson Barrett.
But it was over $1 million. Like, definitely over $1 million.
Yeah.
Something crazy. But anyway, it reminded me a lot of the Bronco. But it looks wild. It looks crazy. I mean, it's not the, utilitarian military vehicle we know from the Hummer. But of course, like, why would they make something like that in this era we live in, of course? So I think it's quite cool that they make it EV. It's probably going to be powerful enough. Probably going to have not a lot of range, as electric vehicles unfortunately do these days. Technologically looks very advanced. I mean, GMC, they make advanced cars. I don't know any GMC cars because we don't get them here. But they have the technology, they have the product line to choose from, bits and bobs here, choose some parts from this car, like the Volkswagen group,
just
basically sharing,
pulling everything.
So I think it's going to be quite cool. Probably won't see it here. Will it make a dent? I don't know. If it's like, maybe people will still see it as this image kind of thing, like, wow, I have a Hummer, look how big. Like, people like driving these kind of stupid big tall cars where you sit super high just to sort of feel, look at all the peasants alongside me. Like, you don't belong on this road. Like, this is my road. I don't know.
I think it's going to be just weird for the Hummer lovers,
Yeah.
Because they had feeling they had this big
nostalgia.
Engine. I think some of them are going to be cool. Hey, EV, we're actually going somewhere with a Hummer. not going to be very environmentally impactful with it anymore. It's going to be friendly.
It's going to be friendly. Polar bear safety.
Polar bear safety. But I think it's people are either gonna think it's quite cool or gonna just hate it. As Hummers are. You get people think it's cool and people just hate it.
So, a quick question about the Hummer.
Yes.
Would you go new Hummer? Or would you go... Well, in terms of price, I'm not totally sure what it's going to cost. But let's say, hypothetically, new Hummer or G63?
Yeah, definitely G63, I think. It's just better. It's more focused within the market, steadfast, coming a long way. It's not like the Hummer.
It's been selling consistently.
It's not like this Hummer coming in, being there, going out. I want to be EV.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very you could compare it to anything, to be honest. Your average guy will take the G63, it's proven.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. In terms of status mobile, probably one of the highest on the ranking.
Yeah.
4-liter V8 bi-turbo. And the new G is actually an insane car. So I'm just struggling to think where the Hummer will fit in.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a new Hummer. It's still cool. Yeah. So let's just wait and see if that becomes a thing. Hopefully it does. Just for the sake of, the Hummer becoming electric is also just another one solidifying the fact that this is where we are heading.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of new cars, we roasted the GT86 a bit last week, which was good and nice to get it off the system. But now there's a new one, the GR86. So
Gazoo Racing.
Yes, that's what actually what I wanted to say now. Gazoo Racing. So we now have the GR Yaris. We now have the GR86. We have the GR Supra. So
you get the Hilux Legend 50 GR as well.
GR, yes, which I don't know what I think about the GR Hilux, but anyway. Like you're not going racing, like track driving with your Hilux. Like it's just the.
But remember, it's focused in on the Dakar part.
But yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, the Dakar Hilux.
So for those who don't know what GR is or Gazoo Racing, maybe tell the people a bit about what's your opinion on GR? Like what if you hear GR, what do you think?
Yeah, what do I think?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, it's definitely it's the more like performance racing part of Toyota.
Yeah.
We've known Toyota to actually, it's not just like your everyday car. They do have the sporting side.
Yeah.
I think and they just want to like put their product in the line of sports, you know.
Yeah.
Put Toyota in the line of sports. Everybody thinks Toyota, Corolla, Jazz,
Camry.
yeah, lekker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they just want to broaden their market a bit and also make themselves known within the sports market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This of course is directly competing against the N from Hyundai.
Yeah.
Well, not really AMG or M or the RS from
No, not that side.
Audi Sport or such,
yeah.
no. But it's basically like what AMG is to Mercedes. So Gazoo Racing, what Gazoo Racing also, they do have some pedigree because in racing they do quite well.
Yeah,
Their Le Mans car does really well. I'll put up an image, but I saw on their Instagram page, the Gazoo Racing Instagram page,
Yeah.
they put up photos of I think it was the Japanese or the Australian like a rally championship where they took the GR Yaris and they basically made a full-on rally car. So not just the GR Yaris, like of course they made it rally like to compete.
Yeah.
Oh my word! Have you seen such a cool thing ever? Like such a cool small car.
No,
it was really cool. Just by the way, they also brought out a GR Yaris Rally.
Sure.
So now it's not just the GR Yaris; it's also the GR Yaris Rally.
It's even more rally focused.
Yeah, and the GR Yaris isn't even a thing for that long, maybe a year, and it's already a special version. But basically, this car, there's not much different, to be honest. Power is still the same. It has a few like interior touches and exterior stuff, like maybe like go faster stripes. That is, hey, listen, the more stripes, the faster your car. It's
definitely
scientifically proven.
You stripe it until it's full red.
Yeah, the more, that's the thing. Like, why do you think Mustangs have stripe on it? They need it. But yeah, GR Yaris Rally. It's really just a name thing. Like, there's not much different, to be honest. I think it's very the same with the Range Rover and the Range Rover Sport. It's not much different. I think there's maybe more differences than there is between the GR Yaris and the Yaris Rally. So, either or. But back to the 86. We said about, we spoke our minds about the previous one.
Yeah.
But, of course, the GR86 isn't just competing... or isn't just in itself being brought out. The Subaru BRZ, which is basically the Subaru competitor of the 86, is basically the same car.
Yeah, as one person stated, it's the mechanical twin.
It is the mechanical twin, which is a very good explanation. Now the question is, what would you choose? Both have the same... Or is it the 2.4?
2.4 liter.
Naturally aspirated.
160 odd
kilowatt. Yes.
What's that? 250 horsepower.
230 something horsepower.
230 something horsepower.
I think it takes 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is something like 6.3, 6.4 seconds, which is quite a bit quicker than the previous one.
Rear wheel drive.
Yeah. Rear wheel drive. It's still the sport car recipe. From the old one. And I spoke to you earlier and I was like, maybe let's do a comparison between that and the 400Z concept from Nissan. But you actually can't.
Two different classes. That one is a twin turbo V6 making almost 400 horsepower. So now the thing is,
there's not a lot of competition that this car has in its segment.
Yeah.
Small, low-powered sports car, cheapish. It's not that expensive.
No, relatively cheap.
I mean, what
compared to
does
the
it
rest.
compete against is MX-5, but it's also not a direct comparison.
Yeah.
Your MX-5 is a small sports car, rear-wheel drive, front engine, but then it's also like you can take the roof off. So yes, that's probably its closest competition. Or then you have to go old 370Z, very old Porsche Cayman.
Yeah.
That's sort of what you're looking at then. So that also sort of defeats the purpose. So it's sort of in a class of its own. So what do you think looks better, the 86 or BRZ?
The BRZ looks better, I believe. But yeah, from the backside, both look the same. From the side view, both look the same. It's actually just the grille that's different. But the BRZ's grille
intakes, lights maybe a bit.
I think the BRZ's just looks a bit better to me.
BRZ.
Yeah.
Fair. You mentioned something about the rear also looking similar to the Supra for you.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like the new Supra. It's just like the small boot lid.
Yes, like the sort of ducktail.
Yeah, I think.
So at the end of the day, what does it come down to? Probably design. Which one do you prefer? Like what front end?
Yeah.
And also price is probably going to differ a bit. Something that also will probably come up is, so Toyota is doing a lot of collaboration with Suzuki at the moment. So the Starlet from Toyota and the Baleno is basically the same car.
Yeah.
They now have the Urban Cruiser and the Suzuki Brezza, which is also the same car.
Yeah.
And what makes one better than the other is not mechanical. It's down to, as we mentioned in previous podcasts, like insurance and like warranty and guarantee, you know, those kind of plans, like service plans, maintenance plans. So the nitty gritty on paper stuff, that's probably what's going to, at the end of the day.
There's one thing that I read that's maybe going to be different, and that's the suspension. That's one thing that they reckon is going to be different between the Subaru and the GR86.
Do you think Subaru would make an all-wheel drive version of this? Because most Subaru cars are all-wheel drive.
Yeah, I believe if they want to, they can.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to, like... I think if they brought out the four-wheel drive version, people were going to go for that.
Yeah. I think because it's basically made on Toyota's production line,
it's not
probably not going to happen. Didn't happen with the previous one. Sales figures that we also looked at in the US.
These are the same.
I mean, basically the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Personal preference takes...
yes, that's what it comes down to.
Takes it home. That's
but on to our more exciting segment, the best non-mom car. Okay? So he said...
Car mom.
Car mom car of the mom's cars.
Fast.
So, fast mom car. This is any car we've seen a mom drive. If you've seen a mom in...
A mom with a child.
A mom with a child. You know, something that indicates that she is a mother. Okay?
Yeah.
So, very specific, very detailed. But of course, yeah. So, if you've seen a mom driving that car, qualifies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We've seen some interesting stuff, especially in Cape Town, especially in Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
And you see these moms like driving these cars, and you're like, wow, you paid so much money for so much car, and you're using it to drive over sidewalks, parallel park badly, and push into the roundabouts flow of direction just because you can.
Yeah, you have that big vehicle.
So often it leads to a lot of conflict, inner conflict into other drivers, but you drive such a cool car, you just don't care because they don't have the car that you have.
Yeah.
But anyway, we chose 3 cars each.
Yes.
And I think Nico can kick it off with his first one.
Kick it off. Jaguar F-Pace SVR.
Can you believe it? There is someone who drives a F-Pace SVR.
F-Pace SVR. 1.8 million rand worth of vehicle.
Yeah.
Around, I think it has 700 Newton meter torque. And I read the stats earlier. I think
isn't it over like 375 kilowatt or?
Yeah, so around about 500 HP. So a lot of car for just driving up and down in a town.
Yeah.
Like why?
Interesting about the SVR, I was very excited about the idea of the SVR when it initially came out. So then the SVR came out, and it just wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. Like, yes, performance stats, probably drives awesome, but in terms of look, the only real difference, quad pipes at the back. Front fascia looks a bit different. But in terms of other, call it compact or larger SUVs with sport pedigree or like the sport badge or anything, it just doesn't look the part. It wasn't what I expected.
No.
But hey, under the belt, there's a 5-liter supercharged V8 that sounds unbelievable.
Yeah.
And probably has very good performance, very capable. Suspension, and so I read a few reviews and people love it. Like, it drives so well.
Yeah.
They really enjoy it. So, yeah, F-Pace, like, nice. I do agree. I like it.
And your first one? What?
My
tell
first
us
one.
Your first one.
My first one is, I don't know if it's the current. I don't think it's the current, but the previous or former Nürburgring SUV lap record holder, the Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S.
Ooh.
So every time I saw that car, I was like, you don't know what you are driving.
Yeah.
This car is a record holder, literally a record holder.
Yeah.
Around about 2 million, 2.2, 2.4, with options that can go wild. 4-liter bi-turbo V8 that, you know, has time and time again shown it's such an awesome engine that Mercedes makes.
Yeah.
About 375 kilowatts, 700 newton meters torque, so very capable, of course. A lot of power, looks cool. Very, very, it's beefy at the back, like it has wide hips, sits low slung, like ready to attack, ready to pounce. Sounds awesome. Very brutish V8 sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, what you could expect. So, I mean, just the fact that it holds a Nürburgring lap record for SUVs. No one cares about the SUV holding a Nürburgring lap record. Like, come on. Like, if you're going for lap records, you won't buy a SUV anyway.
Yeah.
Or for lap times, you won't buy a SUV. But still very cool. I really love any Mercedes, to be honest. But the GLC 63 is like the perfect middleman for SUVs. Still wouldn't buy it though. Wouldn't buy, like, fast SUV isn't something that makes sense. But hey, then again,
No.
if it makes the sound,
Why not?
why not?
No. No. Second on my list, Audi Q8.
Also very valid.
Very valid. I actually drove one once. It's like driving a ship.
Oh yes, you told me.
It's massive. It's just like,
And all the
other
technology
person is
around
sitting
you.
like there on the side. Technology, like a big screen everywhere. Also, like stock standards 1.5 million, and then you have add-ons. Like I drove the one that add-ons that's more valuable than my full on car that I actually have.
Yeah.
It was a
That's
1.8
mad.
million one.
So the extras was
Around 300,000 rand.
yeah, that's more
So,
expensive than the car you have now.
250 kilowatt power, so it's a bit lower on the power scale, which is more
But
sensible.
of course, this is not the RSQ8 we're talking
No,
about.
just basic Q8.
Yeah.
But that's also a bit more sensible. Just you
I
don't
mean,
need
250
that much
kilowatt,
power.
you know, you're still very, very powerful.
Very powerful. That's above 300.
I really like the Q8. I think it looks super stylish, super elegant, super professional.
Yeah, very professional.
Like
definitely.
I prefer the Urus, of course. Urus is another kind of animal, but the Q8 is very stylish. Like, the design is so simple yet, awesome.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely.
For me, second is the Range Rover Sport. Okay, so I'm not a massive range fan, but the Range Rover Sport just really does it all. It covers a lot of bases.
It does,
So specifically the 5-liter V8, not the SVR, just the 5-liter V8, which I would probably also take, a bit more comfortable than the SVR. Definitely, it is expensive. Not as loud, very powerful enough. Of course, not as powerful as the SVR, but still powerful enough. Has also same kind of power ratio, like 386 kilowatts, which is super powerful. 625 newton meters of torque, cost around 2 million too.
Yeah.
Also, so with options you can go with wild. It looks very good. It's over the years been proven as one of the most all-round capable SUVs. Range Rovers, Land Rovers are known for their off-road pedigree.
Yeah.
Being able to do so much more than you can think. Like Land Rovers and Range Rovers initially were designed as off-road cars, you know, four-wheel drive cars, and being like, okay, now how do we make it a road car now?
Yeah.
So, a bit different with the Range Rover, of course, but still, a lot of power, so much luxury.
Yeah.
It looks insane inside. Like, you have everything you need. You have enough space. Like, it probably is one of the best, more luxurious for like family cars in general out there.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sport performance and everything. It has everything you need. I probably won't even take the V8. The 3 liter is more than enough.
Yeah.
Even the 2 liter, but I mean, it's a Range Rover Sport, so.
Just like the thing that wins me is like these people buying these very capable, very fast, powerful vehicles and then driving in town. Not going even off-roading, like driving in town.
Of course, where we live, there's not a lot of supercars driving in town.
Yeah.
But now and then you do see your Porsche and your Ferrari and stuff, and you're like, you're wasting away this car's potential.
Yeah, driving, yeah.
But I mean, brands know. Brands know people only use it on the road. They don't really use it. Like, for press releases and press drives, they go out, drive it, you know, off-road and show what's capable of, and great. Like, even with the Rolls-Royce Cullinan that like went off-road, that car's not going to see any dirt.
No, never.
At all.
Never.
So, it's a shame. But hey, in terms of mom cars,
Up there.
definitely.
Okay, so my last one is definitely one that's actually supposed to see some dirt. Double cab Toyota Land Cruiser V8.
And this is not something you often see here as a mom car.
No, this is
like farm mom car.
Yeah, a farm mom car.
Yeah.
But you do see them, especially in Bloemfontein,
Okay.
where it's like, it's people that want to show like they look like they're farmers. But they aren't farmers, you know.
Yes.
Because, and that's very, you can see that through the thing being clean.
I
Like
live on the
car
farm,
being
but I
clean.
don't work on the farm.
Yeah, that type of people. So yeah, that's actually a vehicle built to be get dirty. Everything.
So this is the 79, what do you call it, 79 series? Or
Yeah, 79 series.
79 series double cab
Yeah.
V8.
Double cab V8.
Yeah, gas guzzler.
Yeah.
But I think more, like, yes, okay, it definitely qualifies as a mom car now since a mom drove it, but majority of people who drove that car here in Australia also, you know, it's the
workers'
farmer
vehicle.
So yeah, the very expensive workers' vehicle from the farm that's been doing very well.
Yeah.
The exports have been shooting through the roof.
Or just like dodging some tax.
Or dodging some tax. Yeah.
Either way.
Just getting something off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am not a big fan of like, I don't know. I don't like the 79 series as much. But just anything with a V8, I'm not going to dispute the fact that it's a cool car.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, it's just like it's definitely a non-mom car.
If you had like money wasn't an issue,
Yeah.
and you could choose what your wife would drive, like would you still buy, like let's say you still live on a farm one day,
Yeah.
would it be a 79 series V8 double cab?
No.
Really?
No. That's just like a
Yeah.
waste of money.
No, it is.
And it's not even like comfortable to drive in.
Yeah.
It's like very hard.
Yeah.
So that's why
I'd rather take a normal Land Cruiser V8, the VX or the VXR.
Yeah. No,
I mean-
I think if you're like on a farm and you want a vehicle for your wife, like buy a Q7 or
Yeah.
a Taurag or
Yeah.
a Ford Everest or for Toyota Fortuner, you know, something like that. Something's practical,
Yeah.
simple. They
Yeah.
don't need to buy something just to show like you have money.
No,
So, yeah.
very true. So my last one is and I saw this the other day, the Volvo V90 cross country. So this is like
Yes.
E-Class 5 Series,
Yeah.
you know, big of a car.
Did you see the Stellenbosch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I specifically saw the I think it was a D5, but I'm going to talk about the D6. So D5 is like the diesel, but like
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the D6, which is 2 liter twin charged with a mild hybrid system, 4-cylinder. So not going to be loud and stuff, but it's massive, looks beautiful, like such an awesome design, all-wheel drive, so you can go anywhere where that Land Cruiser can go. It has, I think, 230 something kilowatt, which is still a lot. It's more than enough. 4.8 seconds 0 to 100 for like something that it's not trying to be a sports car. And also 400 Newton meters of torque, which is fine. You know, for a mom car, it's fine. You need 50 Newton meters of torque for it to be a mom car. So anything over that is all right. Definitely exceeds R1 million in price. I think the normal D5 start at like $1 million, so probably more towards 1.5, 1.6. You don't often see Volvos that much, especially those V90s or the more expensive ones, just because you look at the more expensive Volvo and often your typical guy will go buy a Mercedes rather, or a BMW or an Audi. So just because of the market they're competing in terms of price, people would rather buy something else. But in terms of how cool it looks, how efficient it is, how technologically advanced the cars are, you can't look past Volvos anymore. But I love the V90 just because it's a estate. I'm mad about estates. Mad about anything that is unassuming, because that car can do a lot more than you can think it does. Sleeper, definitely. Even though it's not trying to be a performance car at all. If you could have any estate as your mom car.
Estate. A4 all-road.
So there we go. Another all-wheel drive beauty. Okay, cool. There we have it. So we'll definitely chat about this a bit more on the Instagrams, the social medias and such.
Definitely.
See how it goes. But thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. Nico will probably not be on the coming episodes. He's a bit busy, but that's understandable. That's totally fine.
We'll be back soon enough.
So wish him good luck, give him encouragement. Say, hey, good luck with this, you've got this. But anyway, as we always finish it off, rather love cars because it's better than loving drugs.
Definitely.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.